Welcome to New York City. The Blue Jays are up in the Bronx trying to snap a 17-game losing streak here at Yankee Stadium, and they'll be facing a left-handed pitcher, Chris Capuano, who is making his first start for the Yankees. Blue Jays lost last night 6-4, and they had an early lead. They led 3-0 after their half of the first inning. Take a look at the lineup for John Gibbons. It's Reyes, Melky Cabrera, and Jose Bautista. Bautista against Capuano has gone 7 for 18. That's a .389 average. He's got a couple of doubles, a couple of home runs. He's driven in 4. Then down in the 8th spot, how about Ryan Goins? Since he's come back from the minor leagues, he's done a good job. He's got a 5-game hit streak. He's 6 for 19. He's hit a double, a triple, and he's driven in 3 runs. Plus, he gives you the added benefit of terrific defense at second. The Blue Jays trying to snap their drought against left-handed pitchers. They are 13-15. Against lefty starters, and that's what they're dealing with today.
Chris Capuano, this is his Yankees debut after being added to the roster yesterday. 35 years old. This is his first start this season. 28 relief appearances for the Red Sox. Earlier, the Yankees actually got him from the Colorado Rockies for cash considerations. He started in the Boston bullpen this year. That's his numbers right there. 1-1 with a .455 earned run average. 4 starts in the minor leagues. Thought he was going to Colorado to pitch for the Rockies, and here he is with the New York Yankees.
Take a look at the defense behind Capuano, and good outfield defense with Gardner, Ellsbury, and Suzuki. Suzuki has 10 Gold Gloves in right field. The infield, it's same, a Gold Glove laden infield with Chase Headley. He won a Gold Glove with the Padres. Derek Jeter has 5 Gold Gloves. Robertson McCann finish out the infield defense, and Francisco Cervelli done a terrific job backing up.
And Capuano will give up his share of fly balls. The left fielders for the Yankees this year have not committed an error. Everybody that they have had out there, not one error so far this season. Brett Gardner can cover a lot of ground in left field.
Jose Reyes batting right-handed against Capuano takes the first pitch downstairs, and we are underway. Reyes in the game last night got a hit in his first at bat, scored on the Bautista home run, but over the course of the night he was 1 for 5. There's a strike. It's 1-1.
Well, don't look for much from Chris Capuano. He's been around for a while. He doesn't throw very hard. He changes speeds. He uses all 4 of his pitches, the changeup, curve, fastball, and the slider. He just doesn't throw it by you. You're going to have to wait back and really think back through the middle.
Reyes fouls it back to the screen. The Blue Jays faced Capuano 3 times this year when he was pitching for the Red Sox out of the bullpen. He pitched a total of 3 1/3, gave up just 2 hits against the Blue Jays. He picked up his first win against the Jays as a starter back in 2005. There's that changeup that sinks down and away. Capuano started his career with the Arizona Diamondbacks, went to Milwaukee in 2004. And his numbers, that first win came against Josh Towers in June of 2005. Reyes went around and he strikes out. Alan Porter, the home plate umpire, called him for the swing. Reyes can't believe it. And he is out on strikes.
Looked like another changeup right there. Cervelli did an outstanding job of smothering that ball. This is the side view, and that doesn't look like Reyes went around on that one.
No, it sure doesn't. It's unfortunate. Alan Porter never even asked for help from his first base umpire. He called it himself. That's the first strikeout of the afternoon. Been that kind of run for John Gibbons here in this ballpark. If it can go wrong, it has for the Blue Jays.
They just don't seem to catch any breaks here, do they?
Melky Cabrera takes that first pitch strike. Melky always takes that first pitch to get an idea what he's dealing with on a given day.
They're giving it to him still from the bench. Alan Porter's yelling into Gibby and the boys to knock it off.
Milwaukee swings at that changeup, and you're right. It's going to be a complete dose of off-speed pitches. They're going to have to make sure they change their sights a bit.
I think you can actually look off-speed pitch against a pitcher like Chris Capuano and adjust to his fastball. Sometimes that's backwards thinking from a lot of hitters. They usually look for the fastball and adjust to the breaking ball, but I think you can do that with him because he doesn't throw that hard.
Capuano's now 35 years old. We mentioned he started out in Arizona in 2003. Then he went to Milwaukee and he started dealing with injuries, and he's had a share of injuries. He's had elbow surgery, he's had shoulder problems, and it's been one thing after another. There's a little looper, McCann, in foul ground. It's over his head. Capuano has something in common with Marcus Stroman. He went to Duke like Stroman. He was a Phi Beta Kappa at Duke. Came out of Duke as an 8th round pick of Arizona in '99. Bounced in the dirt. The Yankees more or less picked up Capuano for this start. Blue Jays haven't played well against left-handed starters at 13 and 15 for the season. And I asked Joe Girardi specifically yesterday, you starting Capuano because of the Blue Jays lineup? He said absolutely.
And they have had their problems against the left-handers. Lots of lefties in the lineup. 3 more sitting on the bench.
2-2, 1 out. Foul back.
I think it just shows how the Blue Jays miss Edwin Encarnacion from the right side and Brett Lawrie from the right side. Balance is so important when you're putting a lineup together. You don't want to be too top-heavy right-handed or too top-heavy left-handed.
Just about being a good mix. Speed, power, average, you got to have it all.
Just a little bit of everything.
Here's another 2-2 to Cabrera. Off the end of the map. Jeter comes after it and throws quickly to throw out his former teammate. John Gibbons knows without those 3 extra bats and the 2 right-handed bats, they're going to struggle against lefties. And you look at the lowest batting average against left-handed pitchers. The Jays have hit .237, just ahead of Cleveland. Oakland, they haven't done much better, but they're scoring a lot of runs out there in Oakland.
Yeah. John Gibbons trying something here to juggle his lineup just a little bit to try and get some balance. He'd like to see this guy come up with runners on base.
Bautista did exactly that yesterday. He had a 3-run home run in the first inning off Hiroki Kuroda. He would then homer in his second at bat, his first multi-home run game here at Yankee Stadium in his career.
He's such an intelligent hitter also. He has a plan when he goes up to that plate. And that time he gets drilled.
And you can see he's got some thoughts about that. Capuano hits him in the ribs. Bautista has hit him hard. He's hit a 389 clip against Capuano. So fastball inside hits Bautista, and he'll take first.
Fastball in. They want to go in there. That's where they want it, and he yanks it right off the ribs. And you can see Cervelli, look at him react to that one. The catcher knows that that one hurts.
Well, the catcher also knows there's a chance he's going to get hit with the deflection. That's what he was doing, ducking out of the way. So Bautista's at first, hit by a pitch. Ganner Navarro, the cleanup man. There's a base hit to right in front of Suzuki. Bautista will stop at second. Ichiro Suzuki, one of the best arms we've seen since he came to the big leagues. Ichiro has 110 career assists since he came to the Mariners in 2001.
And it's short in right field, so makes him even more dangerous. Let's take a closer look at Chris Capuano, this afternoon's pitcher for the New York Yankees, and what he features. Basically, he'll use the fastball, the changeup, the slider, and the curveball. All 4 of the pitches that starters we're going to need. Changeup, uses that 19% of the time, and is probably his best pitch. Just a 143 average this season against the changeup.
Steve Tollefson batting fifth, playing at third base. Tollefson for the season has hit .338 against lefty pitching. That's why John Gibbons has pushed him up into that fifth spot. First and second, 2 outs. Snap throw behind Bautista. It's in the dirt, and Brian Roberts takes the short hopper. Boy, Roberts was positioned himself in front of the base. If it was a throw on the fly, he was going to block Bautista off the base.
And he had a chance to get him, too. First pitch to Tollefson, there was a big secondary lead by Bautista. Cervelli picks up on that, and he tries to pick him off, but Roberts recognized that that ball is going to be in the dirt, so he positioned himself for the short hop. You're right. If that is on the bag and on the line, he has a chance to catch the ball, drop that knee in front of the bag, and block him off.
2 balls and no strikes to Tollefson. Now it's 3-0. Lefty Dan Johnson is on deck. Capuano called out his catcher, Francisco Cervelli. There's Johnson, who is the DH this afternoon. Capuano missed the entire 2008 and 2009 seasons. He was out with injuries. He had shoulder problems, had a torn labrum. He had Tommy John, as we mentioned. 3-0. Tollefson takes his strike. Bautista hit a 3-0 fastball in yesterday's game off of Kuroda with a 3-run home run. Of course, Tollefson isn't in the same class as Bautista as far as getting the green light.
Yeah, he might not get the green light, but the way he hits left-handers, runners in scoring position, I'd let him go.
Ball 4, bases are loaded. Capuano not really aggressive after Tollefson, knowing he's got a lefty bat coming on next in Dan Johnson. Johnson has not faced Capuano. So the Blue Jays threatening in the first again this afternoon.
Time to make a statement right here. You got the bases loaded. He just walked Tollefson on 5 pitches. I think if you're Dan Johnson, you're looking for that first pitch that you can hit hard.
2 outs. Breaking ball off the plate. Johnson has 3 career grand slams. Right now, I think he'd be thrilled with a base hit. Done a good job with runners on base this season. There's a strike on the corner. Remember, the Blue Jays had Reyes called out on strikes on a check swing. Reyes didn't appear to offer at it, but the home plate umpire Alan Porter called him out. It was the first out of this inning. Strike 2, very deliberate strike call by Alan Porter.
Just 88 miles an hour with that fastball. That's where he's going to top out. So now he's going to try and nibble on the corners and see if Dan Johnson will fish for something off the plate.
Blue Jays were 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position in last night's game, and they lost that game 6-4. Bautista inching down the line from third. Pulled foul, slow breaking ball that Johnson was able to spoil and put out of play.
Cervelli catching Capuano for the first time, so they'll go over game reports and figure out game plans for the Blue Jay batters, but Capuano's calling his own game right here, and there might be some communication problems early on until they figure out what they want to do. He's already stepped off one time and had Cervelli come out.
There's a fly ball to right. Ichiro has plenty of room, and the inning is over. Capuano gets Dan Johnson to fly out. The Blue Jays leave the bases loaded. Drew Hutchison will take the mound against New York when we come back. Bases loaded in their half of the inning. Now let's take a look at Joe Girardi's lineup for this Saturday afternoon game. Gardner, Jeter, and then Jacoby Ellsbury in the 3 spot. Ellsbury against the Blue Jays starter Drew Hutchison has gone 5 for 7 this year with 3 RBIs. And then the number 9 hitter is Francisco Cervelli. With Mark Teixeira out of the lineup, Brian McCann has to play first base, so Cervelli's been getting a lot of action, and he's made the most of it. Got a 7-game hit streak. He's 9 for 24. And he's done some damage with 4 doubles and an RBI.
Opportunity. Let's see what you can do with it. Cervelli has taken advantage of that. Here's an opportunity for Drew Hutchison, coming off his worst start of the season, tied a career high by allowing 6 earned runs and lasting just 2 2/3 innings. That was against the Red Sox. Earlier, it was his shortest non-injury outing of his career, trying to right the ship here this afternoon against the Yankees.
Drew Hutchison 0-3 against New York this season, and they have hit him hard to the tune of a .345 batting average. A lot of veteran hitters in this lineup, and they are very patient. Brett Gardner went 0 for 3 in last night's game. He had a sac fly and drove in a run.
You'll get professional at bats from Brett Gardner, working the count, seeing a lot of pitches.
There's a fastball strike. It's 1-1. Gardner has put up good numbers against the Blue Jays for his career. He's always been a tough out for the Jays. That fastball right at the bottom of the zone. You can see Alan Porter is very deliberate in his strike call. He'll take some time before he throws up that right arm. One and two. High fastball. He checked and fouled it off.
Good production for Gardner out of that leadoff spot. 10 home runs for Gardner. Not really known as a home run hitter. 10 home runs and at least 35 RBIs from the first slot of that lineup.
Gardner, a .338 hitter against the Blue Jays for his career. Another high fastball. Hutchison early in this game just trying to command that fastball. His velocity is 90-91. Last time out against the Red Sox, came out firing 93-94 and had a very good first inning.
Very good first inning, and then lost it after that. Got to drive that ball down.
There's a strikeout. He strikes out Brett Gardner, first out of the inning.
Now batting for the Yankees, number 2.
Derek Jeter, playing in his 20th and final season as a member of the New York Yankees, will retire after this season, and the crowd always appreciative of Derek Jeter. Boy, he stepped out on the field to run his sprints, and the place went bananas the fourth ball game. Having a good year, hitting .270.
He's a rock star.
Yes, he is.
That's exactly what he is.
Tom Seaver, the Hall of Famer, gave Derek a great endorsement. He said Derek Jeter should be the first unanimous Hall of Fame inductee. On the ground, past Tollison into left field. So Jeter's aboard with a one-out single. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays defensively. Gose is in left field with his great speed and strong arm. Rasmus back in center. Melky Cabrera moves over to right field. Tollison, Reyes, Goins, and Bautista. Jose making his 8th start at first base. And Gianna Navarro is behind the dish for Drew Hutchison.
And that's no knock on Melky Cabrera playing right field. John Gibbons wants to get a little bit more speed in that spacious area in left center field, so he moves Mookie over to right field, or Melky over to right field, and Gose into left field, teaming up with Rasmus to cover that expansive property out there.
Jacoby Ellsbury goes after the first pitch and hits it high into the air center field. Rasmus is there. Ellsbury is retired on one pitch. So that'll bring Carlos Beltran to the plate, and he homered in the 3rd inning with one out against Mark Burley.
Burley tried to get, it looked like a backdoor cutter, something away from Beltran, and it just got over the middle of the plate, and that home run got him back into the ball game. Good sign if you're a Yankee fan with Beltran starting to hit. He's only hitting .222 coming into this game.
11 homers and 32 RBI for Beltran. Switch hitter batting left-handed against Hutchison, and Beltran gets hit, and now Alan Porter warns him, and that is a real problem for me. They hit Bautista in the 1st inning, and now Hutchison's trying to come in to Beltran, and Porter warns him. And I can't pitch inside Alan Porter. I think that's the most flawed rule in baseball.
Yeah, you got
the warning.
You got to use judgment right there. And in Alan Porter's judgment, he stepped right out from behind home plate and said, "You were doing that on purpose."
How does he know?
Right.
So both teams have been warned, which means if a pitcher hits another batter with intent, and that pitch is down around the legs, and you know what? I just don't agree with the warning rule. I think it has really created problems for pitchers, and I think another rule has been legislated against the pitchers in baseball.
Now you can't pitch inside.
No,
because if you miss and you accidentally hit a guy, they're going to throw you out of the ball game. It's not right.
The strike zone has gotten smaller. The ballparks have gotten smaller. The hitters wear body armor. Everything has gone against the pitchers. 2 outs. Brian McCann takes a first pitch strike. McCann last night, a 2 for 4 night. He scored a couple of runs. He singled in each of his first 2 at bats. There's a pop up on a changeup that's going to be behind the Yankees dugout.
I think that can be a good pitch for Drew Hutchison, the changeup. You got to get the Yankee hitters, or any hitter, off of your fastball, so you have to be able to change speed. And it's been a pitch that's been developing for Hutchison. It's not where it should be right now here at the big league level, but it's a pitch that's very important to what he does.
So now, if you're Brian McCann and you know that there's been a warning issued, I'm not worried about the inside. I'm going to dive out over the plate and protect the outside corner, and just if I get hit, I get hit.
And what is he going to try and do as a hitter? Try and yank a ball to right field.
1-2. Good pitch, inside fastball, and McCann strikes out. A couple of strikeouts for Drew Hutchison. A very interesting first inning here at Yankee Stadium.
Yankees on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. And by Home Hardware, homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Little early fireworks at Yankee Stadium. Jose Bautista got hit by a pitch from Chris Capuano, and Drew Hutchison hit Beltran, and the first guy to greet him in the dugout, Mark Burley. Everybody knows what's up. Nobody's going to admit that Hutchison hit Beltran, but you can't let your stars get plonked and just let it go unnoticed. You got to defend them. And you know what? Blue Jays will let teams push them around for a while, and it's time that somebody made a statement. Hutchison made that statement early. I don't know if he was thrown at him, but I like what he did.
Yeah, and you know what? The ball players will take care of it.
Absolutely.
You know, the umpires don't have to make warnings or anything like that. The players will take care of it. It's over with now.
Well, it's over with because the umpires legislated it. You know what? If you're Carlos Beltran and you're getting hit because your pitcher's hitting other guys, Beltran's going to go to your pitcher and say, "Stop hitting guys. You're killing me." Kobe Erasmus takes it inside. It's 2-0. Oh, that's a big part of the game that's missing, that back and forth banter between the teams. Of course, they all agree when they meet behind second base before the start of the game not to hit one another.
Yeah, they sure do. No.
Rasmus pulls it foul. 2-1. But you know, you see Bautista get hit in his first at bat after a 3-hit 2-homer game the night before. It makes you a little suspicious.
Sure. And Beltran went deep last night.
Yep. So, tit for tat. 3-1 to Rasmus, leading off the second inning. You know what? The Blue Jays need a little blood boiling. They need some emotion. You can't come in here and lose 17 straight without getting a little fired up.
I think they're getting tired of sitting back and getting creamed.
Rasmus will take the leadoff walk. Second walk issued by Capuano. John Gibbons didn't have his team hit on the field trying to snap the long losing streak. It didn't work last night. 0 for 17 their last 17 games played here at Yankee Stadium. They've not pitched well. They've not hit well. They've been out-homered by 4. And the Yankees have been dominant over the Jays here in this ballpark.
You can look at those numbers, and I could just assume and know that they've had their problems here in New York just by looking at those numbers. Bautista did his part last night.
Ryan Goins on a mini 5-game hit streak. Rasmus at first. Goins shows bunt and takes it outside. Ryan has done a good job of swinging the bat since he's come back from the minor leagues. He was 1 for 4 in the game last night, but he's had some big hits. He's hit a triple, double, driven in a couple runs since he's been back.
You know, that's been the biggest knock against Ryan Goins when he came up here. Is he going to be able to hit enough to keep an everyday job in the big leagues? Well, he's starting to show that he's feeling comfortable.
Capuano has a terrific move to first base. He was just checking in on Colby Rasmus, but he's got a much better move than that.
36 pickoffs, 6th most among active pitchers right now. That was just the pedestrian move over to first.
Goins bunts it foul. Well, the Blue Jays haven't been very good at sacrifice bunting. You've got to square around and commit. If you're going to bunt, bunt. Square around and face the pitcher and drop it down.
You know, the only problem I have with that last bunt attempt right there is where the bat was. It was back behind home plate. You got to get it out in front of home plate so when you bunt it, it stays fair.
If you take a step toward the pitcher in the batter's box, you'll be in front of home plate, and everything you make contact with will be fair. Bunts this one on the ground, and Brian McCann will throw to first. There's a good bunt by Goins. He moves Rasmus up to second. Well, Colby is at second in scoring position for Anthony Gose. You have to throw the percentages out the window with the Blue Jays in their lineup right now. You can hardly fault John Gibbons for trying anything offensively just to muster an attack.
I think he's trying to take advantage of that leadoff walk right there. Walking Erasmus, you're at the bottom of the order. He's going to try and get him in the scoring position and take 2 shots at trying to score him.
Goes 6 for 28 against lefty pitching this year. That's a .214 average. Slices that one into the seats. Anthony has made things happen when he's played. He hasn't really torn it up with a bat, but he's had a couple of bunt base hits. He's gone first to third. He's stolen a few bases, and he's made some fine plays in the outfield.
He can be an exciting player with his speed alone. He plays well in this ballpark, I think. His speed and his game really plays well here. And the Blue Jays have a winning record when he starts.
Those strikes out. That looked like a changeup, and Capuano gets his second strikeout of the afternoon. So Reyes will step up. He was called out for swinging at strike 3. There's a changeup that's down and in to Ghost.
Yeah, that's a good one too. You can see Anthony just did not pick that ball up out of the hand of Capuano.
2 down now. Reyes checked his swing in his at bat in the first inning, but he was called out by the home plate umpire for going around. Again, Capuano calls out his catcher. This is the first time they've worked together. Obviously, Capuano was acquired in a trade on Thursday. He just called him out and pushed him back to home plate and said, okay, now you got it, let's go.
You'll see that, I think, as long as he is in there this afternoon, you're going to see that. They'll sit next to each other on the bench in between the innings, and they'll talk about the hitters and what they want to do to try and set them up.
Reyes, a little looper into right. Ichiro is there, and the inning is over. Through 2 innings, the Blue Jays have stranded 4. Chris Capuano has held them to just a single hit.
Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Drew Hutchison set for the bottom of the second. Chase Headley goes after the first pitch. Little grounder to second. Collison throws him out there playing in the shift. Ichiro Suzuki had a home run drought until last night in the third inning with a couple aboard.
Then picked on a high breaking ball from Mark Burley and puts it into the seats. His first extra base hit in about 2 weeks. And the captain is there to greet him right on the first step.
That was a great reaction as Ichiro is coming back into the dugout. Jeter with a little smirk on his face, and then he broke out into a big laugh. Suzuki, a terrific career. He came to the Mariners in 2001. He was a hitting star in Japan and a very successful career in Japan. 10-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover, and a 3-time Silver Slugger. Strokes it into center, right to the center fielder Rasmus. 2 quick outs here in the second. Derek Jeter picked up a single in his first at bat. He now has 3,415 career base hits. He is 8th on the all-time hit list, closing in on Carl Yastrzemski, who has 3,419 hits. Brian Roberts, second baseman. Roberts is 36 years old. He's in his first season with the New York Yankees. He signed as a free agent after 13 years in Baltimore. There's a changeup with good movement.
Yeah, moving that into his arsenal this afternoon. I think the whole key for Drew Hutchison is getting on top of that fastball and really driving it down in the strike zone.
There's another good changeup with movement. Hutchison is a basic 4-seam fastball, slider, and changeup pitcher. He hasn't really mastered the art of sinking that fastball yet. And that's something that's going to have to come because it's going to really give him another weapon.
And his slider is very inconsistent right now.
There was a much better breaking ball and a good at bat as Hutchison has a 3-up, 3-down inning with a strikeout. He struck out 3 so far. Melky Cabrera will start things off for the Blue Jays. Bautista was hit by a pitch, and Deanna Navarro has a single already this afternoon. Big league career with the New York Yankees. He signed as a free agent with the Yankees as a minor leaguer and came to the big leagues in 2005. Then he started moving around to 4 different ball clubs.
Left-hander, a switch hitter that's been piling up a lot of hits in his career. Yankees, Braves, Kansas City, where he had his finest season. The Giants now a couple of years here in Toronto. And I asked him today, I said, Melky, have you always been a switch hitter, or when did you start becoming a switch hitter? He says, when I was a little boy, when I was 10 years old, I'm a naturally left-handed hitter, which surprised me. I thought he was a right-handed hitter, but he said I came up as a left-handed hitter because I throw left-handed. And it was my uncle who suggested I move over and become a switch hitter. So I started hitting as a youngster, came into professional baseball as a young player, and he's really blossomed into a great hitter.
Yeah, you were right. Oftentimes, switch hitters will learn once they get into professional baseball. Larry Bowen did that. Alan Porter has been hearing it from the Blue Jays dugout. Jose Reyes was called down on a very questionable check swing in the first inning, and the Blue Jays bench has been giving it to the home plate umpire all afternoon. Melky pops it in the air, shallow right. The first baseman is back. McCann makes the catch. One down. When you talk about switch hitters, oftentimes most hitters are right-handed hitters, and they learn how to hit left-handed, either because they have speed. Larry Bowa is one of those guys. He learned how to hit left-handed in professional baseball. Carlos Beltran is a switch hitter as well. But even Willie Wilson, who became a terrific switch hitter, started out as a right-handed hitter. And he was a catcher.
Willie McGee.
Yeah.
I saw Willie McGee. He was a right-handed thrower, right-handed hitter in the minor leagues with the Yankees. And they said, you got to be able to switch hit. In his first year, he hit more balls into the third base dugout than you would ever imagine. Became an MVP.
Yeah.
But it was surprising to know that he was a natural. Melky was a natural left-handed hitter, and his uncle said, if you want to play pro ball, you should be a switch hitter.
Bautista bounces it left side. Long throw for Derek Jeter, right on the money. Boy, Jeter was very patient in taking that ball a couple of steps on the grass and measured his throw perfectly.
He knew he had some time because the ball got to him so quickly. Watch how he plants his foot and backhands it all in one motion, and then sets in still a strong arm and accurate across the diamond. They've got three infielders on the left, so he doesn't have to go very far to get this one. Right in the glove.
Derek Jeter, I mentioned his 20th season with the Yankees. He's destined for the Hall of Fame. No shortstop in history has ever had more hits as a shortstop than Derek Jeter. Yonder Navarro has a hit this afternoon. Takes one inside. 2 outs. Scoreless game. We're in the third. Here's another switch hitter, and boy, if you can be a switch hitting catcher, you could play forever.
What an advantage. Where that breaking ball always coming into you, never going away from you if you're a switch hitter.
This is pulled to third. Headley was a Gold Glover for the Padres, and he makes a strong throw. Quick inning for Chris Capuano. 3 up, 3 down. in 60 seconds for the biggest at-bats in every game-changing play. Blue Jays in 60 seconds after the game, only on sportsnet.ca. Lots of Blue Jay fans in the house, lots of Blue Jay fans all over New York, and you can see that thermometer up over 100 degrees down on the field. Game time temperature was 26 degrees up here in the broadcast booth, but we have the benefit of being out in the sun.
Yeah, we're in the shade and we got fans blowing cool air on us. It doesn't look that hot, does it?
No, it's a nice day. Everybody should be out there enjoying the sun. Summertime afternoon baseball, you can't beat it. Saw a lot of Blue Jay fans around the hotel this morning enjoying their time in New York. Lots of them traveling from as far as Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Yes. One of them stopped me in the hotel today and said, "What's going on with the team? I'm coming to the game today. They better win." I said, "Well, maybe that's what they need. They need you here at the game."
Francisco Cervelli grounds out on the first pitch.
The 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, and so many sights around the city to take in while you're visiting. Brett Gardner struck out in his first at bat. Of course, the Blue Jays have lost 17 straight games to the Yankees here in this ballpark, and they've got to turn that around. The Blue Jays now just 4 games over 500 at 54-50. This has popped up over near the Jays dugout. Navarro is there. It's on top of the roof. Baltimore Orioles just keep rolling along. 1-1 against Felix Hernandez last night. They go to extra innings, and Chris Davis hits a home run in the 10th. And the Orioles, we talk about the Blue Jays having that tough road trip out west before the All-Star break. Baltimore's not had a problem with it. They are now 5-3 so far on the trip.
How about that? And Kevin Gausman matching Felix Hernandez last night, pitch for pitch.
This is popped back up into the upper deck. Kendrys Morales didn't waste any time having an impact in the Mariners uniform. Robinson Cano hit a triple. Then right after that, Morales drove him in with a sac fly. 1-1 game, tied it up.
And then Chris Davis untied it in extra innings.
Boy, there's going to be a lot of good baseball down the stretch in this division. Gardner strikes out. Looked like another good breaking ball. A little more depth on his slider today.
That's what they've been trying to get Drew Hutchison to do with his slider. Get it off the hitting plane. And that time it went down. A lot of times he'll get on the side of that slider and it'll go side to side and stay on the hitting plane. That time he got on top of it. And you can see from that replay how it went under the bat of Brett Gardner.
Derek Jeter had a single his first time up back in April facing Drew Hutchison. He also singled, and that single moved him into 8th place all time as he passed Paul Molitor with that base hit against Hutchison back in April. Now he's got his sights set on Carl Yastrzemski, who is 7th all time in hits. Interesting that Derek Jeter is the only Yankee to surpass 3,000 hits in his career.
Isn't that something? All the great players that have played here, the only one with 3,000 hits. He and Hank Aaron, the only players to record at least 150 hits in 17 straight seasons. 8 200-hit seasons for Derek Jeter, the most by a shortstop.
There's a little flare in the right. Melky Cabrera is going to play it on the hop, and Jeter is 2 for 2. Now he's just 3 hits behind Carl Yastrzemski.
The list goes on and on for Derek Jeter. First time up, he pulls the ball into left field for a base hit. He is now triple digits this season in hits. That time he goes the other way. We've seen him do that a few times in his career.
There have been 19 hitters record 3,000 career hits since 1961. Only Tony Gwynn has done it quicker than Derek Jeter. The late Tony Gwynn passing away this summer. Gwynn collected his 3,000 hits in 2,284 games. It's off the end of the bat. Ellsbury grounds out. That ends the inning. The Jeter hit had no impact. We'll move to the fourth. Still a scoreless game in the Bronx. By Boston Pizza, Saturday, August 9th, the Blue Jays will take on the Detroit Tigers. Game time is 1:07 p.m. There are special kids prize tickets in the 200 and 500 level outfield seats. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234 or log online to BlueJays.com and order your tickets for the next Junior Jays Saturday. Saturday, August 19th. Tigers are in town. Well, Tigers don't appear to be slowing down either. They are 6 games out in front of the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have won 4 in a row, but they can't close ground on the Tigers. Steve Tollefson walked his first time up. Capuano and Cervelli haven't been able to get on the same page very quickly here this afternoon.
He hasn't thrown a pitch yet this inning. You sit on the bench, okay, Tollefson's coming up. Let's go fastball first pitch. No?
Cervelli was at the plate, made an out to start the inning, and he's probably thinking about that weak grounder he had.
That's not what they talk about when they're on the bench. Next guy's coming up, how they're going to pitch him.
Yep. Have a little chat about that. This is a changeup from Capuano. Tapped up the third base line. Capuano quickly over. Not in time. Joe West made the safe call at first. It was bang bang. Capuano made it closer than it appeared to be. He made a nice play as Tollefson reaches on that check swing tapper.
They are not going to challenge this one. He checks his swing. He's going to be rewarded with a base hit right here. Capuano gets over. You can see Brian McCann, the first baseman, he can't stretch to the ball. He's got to wait for that ball to get to him, and Tollefson beats it out.
And that's the problem you have with a catcher playing first base. If he steps toward that ball and stretches in that direction, then he'll shorten the distance, of course. But Tollefson is aboard. Dan Johnson flied out to right his first time up. Yankees have put Chase Headley near second base, the third baseman moving over in the shift. Inside. It's a high breaking ball. It's now 2-0.
He just will not swing at pitches when he's not comfortable. Now he's got a chance at 2-0 to expand it. See how far he can hit this ball.
Inside, now 3-0. Johnson played last season in the minor leagues with the Yankees. He was at Scranton Wilkes-Barre. This year, of course, he was at Buffalo for early part of the season. Last year, he played 133 games for the Yankees AAA club. Hit 21 home runs and drove in 69. There's one right on the corner. Interesting mix of the pitch trackers there. It would suggest that Dan Johnson would be out.
3 of them in the box at one point there, but he's sitting at 3-1. Got a chance to look for a pitch in a certain location right here.
Pulls it foul, and that's what you want. You get a 3-1 fastball, you better be on it. Really try to hit it hard, and he was out in front. Johnson this year in AAA Buffalo had 314 at bats, and he had 17 homers and 54 driven in.
Had a great spring too for the Blue Jays. Thought he had a chance of maybe making that team as a pinch hitter or a veteran off the bench.
Ground ball. Headley will go into the baseline and tag Tollison out, and then the throw to first pulls McCann off the base. Headley, actually a third baseman, did a good job of going into the base path to tag Tollison, and then by the time he threw to first, he pulled McCann off the bag.
It looked like he had a very good grip on that baseball because he yanked it. Watch him catch the ball now. Get in the way. Don't let Tollison go to second base. Makes the tag and then throws wildly. Joe Girardi now, after looking at the replays, want to go out and talk to the crew chief.
Country Joe West is at first base, and West is already moving toward the position. He anticipated Girardi was going to ask for the call, and Girardi said, wait a minute, Joe, I want to see what my bench coach Tony Pena says about it. So Joe West was headed toward the station where they look at the replay, and now he's gone back and he says, I'm waiting on Tony to tell me thumbs up or thumbs down. This is the flawed part of this thing too.
You got that right.
You should eliminate the team's ability to look at video. And he said, call it off, Joe, come on back. It's no good. So Country Joe West will stay put at first base.
Here's the throw as he tried to clear himself. It beats him. It beats Dan Johnson at first base, but it was just too close to tell if McCann had the foot on the bag.
Yeah, and McCann obviously not a accomplished first baseman. Headley might have been better off had he had that ball in his bare hand and then tagged Tollison, and then he would have not had to reach into his glove to find a baseball. Kobe Erasmus walked his first time up.
That's how they teach the middle infielders how to do it. Exactly what you just said. Get the ball out of your glove, get it in your bare hand. You can tag him, and then you don't have to transfer.
Scoreless game, top of the fourth. Hits are even at 2 apiece. Cervelli's having a tough time catching Capuano. First time he's had to catch the lefty, but you can see there's a little bit of movement. He's not really sure what the ball's going to do. It's the first time he's had a chance to catch him. There's a fly ball into center. Ellsbury on the run. He makes a terrific catch. Jacoby Ellsbury broke quickly on that ball. It was slicing away from him, but he got to the alley in left center and made a fine sliding catch.
I did not think he had any chance in the world to make that catch off the bat of Colby Rasmus. That ball's going to be slicing away from the center fielder. You can see he's playing straight up in center field against Rasmus. Ball slicing away, but it hits to his glove side, full extension, and makes the catch. That's 3 times in this series alone that Colby has hit the ball hard and has nothing to show for it.
He lined out to the second baseman last night, lined out to the third baseman last night. Here he has extra bases taken away from him by Ellsbury.
And probably an RBI, too.
So now there are 2 outs. Second baseman Ryan Goins had a sacrifice bunt his first time up.
Well, this is why they went out and got Ellsbury. Offensively, yes, but they needed some speed in the outfield, and he goes and gets it. Takes away extra bases. That's probably a 1-0 lead for the Blue Jays if he doesn't make that play.
Ellsbury won a Gold Glove in 2011 for the Red Sox. It was interesting how he had his glove hand extended the last couple of strides. Oftentimes you'll see that glove come out right at the end. You'll run with both hands down to your side and then stick that glove out there and make the catch.
Heck of a play. Speed in the outfield. You need it in center field here at Yankee Stadium.
Goins fouls it off the glove of the catcher. He's behind 0-2. Goins started out the season as the Blue Jays' second baseman and just never really got on track at the plate. Sent him down April 26 back to Buffalo. Way inside. Goins was drafted out of Round Rock, Texas. He went to Stony Point High School and then he went to Dallas Baptist University. He was a 4th-round pick of the Jays. This year in Buffalo, he had 285. Just off the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Something hard like that from Capuano. You got to guess that he might be going soft here against the young left-hander.
Changeup. Good call, Pat. As Goins strikes out for Capuano, his 3rd strikeout. Jacoby Ellsbury runs this one down in the alley. That might have saved a run for the Yankees. League Baseball. Listen to live audio, follow games pitch by pitch, and enjoy in-game video highlights. The app is available on the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Android, and BlackBerry. Season-long subscription packages are available, so visit BlueJays.com for more details. There's a great group of Blue Jay fans here at Yankee Stadium. Carlos Beltran was hit by a pitch in the first, and that led to a warning by the home plate umpire, Alvin Porter. Teams are playing this game with a warning in place, which means that if there is a pitcher that hits a batter intensely, in the minds of the umpire, both the pitcher and the manager can be ejected. Change-up's been good today for Hutchison.
Yeah, he's used it. Also looks like he's trying to turn the fastball over just a little bit. Those first two pitches at 87 fastballs and 4-pitch walk.
Beltran's aboard for his second time. That leadoff walk here in the fourth.
You can see what Drew Hutchison was trying to do there. After he hit Beltran, he was thinking Beltran was going to go up there trying to overswing and hit a ball into the seats to make up for getting hit by Drew his first time up. So he took a little something off the fastball, tried to sink it off the plate. Missed a couple of times, threw a changeup, missed again, and then pulled that fastball off the plate.
Brian McCann struck out on an inside fastball to end the first inning. He goes after the first pitch and pops it over the Blue Jays dugout out of play. Catches are such a high-priced commodity. McCann signed a terrific 5-year contract with the Yankees after playing with Atlanta, and put a little pressure on himself that has caused him some problems at the plate. He's a terrific offensive player. And a guy that seemed to be tailor-made to hit in this ballpark.
I think when it's all said and done, he's going to have his 20 home runs for the Yankees this season.
He spent 9 years in Atlanta. He was the Silver Slugger as the best hitting catcher in the National League 5 times. He was an All-Star 7 times. There's a drive hit deep to right center. Rasmus back. This ball is gone. Brian McCann, his 11th home run of the season, drives in the first 2 runs of this game.
Tailor-made for this ballpark. He's a pull hitter as a left-hander, and it's not very deep in right field. Tell you what, he got a pitch to hit a ball that was up. He's done it before. He's on his way to his 20 right here. This is number 11. Pitch that is out over the plate. And you can see that's what left-handers can do in this ballpark, even though it's outside.
Well, Chase Headley takes advantage of that shift and drops a bunt down perfectly up the third baseline. So right after the home run, boy, that's a good time. Everybody's still thinking about the home run. Headley took advantage of the shift and drops one and kills it on the grass at third.
Well, they got to know that he's going to do this. There is nobody on the left side of the infield. No one. That's easy for Headley.
Ichiro Suzuki lined out to center field his first time up. Yankees have scored 2 here in the fourth. That leadoff walk quickly comes around on the home run. Ichiro goes after the first pitch. Reyes, the shortstop, calls for it. 1 down. Drew Hutchison, a little bit of a test for him. His last 6 starts have been a challenge.
1-5 record with an ERA that is approaching 7. And if you talk to him, he said, I just have to execute a little bit better. He has not been throwing pitches where he needs to get out. So the ball's been leaking up in the strike zone. He's catching way too much of the plate. And right now, I think his breaking ball is developing. His changeup hasn't been as consistent as it needs to be. And major league hitters are going to pick up on that. they're going to pick up that he throws a lot of fastballs for strikes, and they've been just hitting him hard.
He doesn't have the same type of movement on his fastball that Marcus Stroman has. And he doesn't have that breaking ball, of course, but he still has enough weapons to compete. Just a matter of executing his pitches more consistently. This is only his 32nd major league start. He's just really trying to get his feet on the ground.
I think that's why you're seeing Hutch this afternoon really try to incorporate his changeup against the left-handers. Trying to get them off the fastball. We've seen more changeups, I think, so far in the first 4 innings of this game than we've seen in total games this season.
Roberts is late on that fastball. It's 1-2. Roberts struck out against Hutchison in the second. The home run hit by Brian McCann is the 13th surrendered by Drew Hutchison. Joe Girardi's Yankees have not been hitting the home runs as they once have. They have a franchise record 245 home runs, and there's another strikeout. The breaking ball again gets Brian Roberts.
Same pitch that he got him out on the first time.
The Yankees hit 245 home runs in 2012. And they had a deep lineup, lots of home run hitters up and down the order. The home run that McCann hit for the Yankees, just the 88th home run of the season.
You know, and of those 88 home runs, 57 of them have been solo home runs. They just haven't had the multi-run home run. That's the 22nd two-run home run by the Yankees this year.
Francisco Cervelli grounded out to short his first time up. Got a base hit. Boy, he's been red hot. That single will extend his hit streak to 8 straight.
He looked like he was fooled on that pitch by Drew Hutchison. It looked like a changeup, but he was able to keep his hands back. It looked like the lower half was starting to leak out of there. And then kept the hands back and rifled that ball into left field. You could see the movement early on. But when you're hot, those are the kind of at-bats you're going to have.
So that'll turn the lineup over back to the top of the order. Brett Gardner has struck out twice so far today. Made him move his feet. Gardner chased a couple of high fastballs for the strikeouts. Interesting how they have moved Gardner to left field with Ellsbury taking over in center. Boy, you talk about coverage. Center and left, the two hardest fields to play in this ballpark, and they can really cover a lot of ground.
They put those speed guys out there. They also have them towards the top of the lineup.
There's a drive to center field. Rasmus is back on the warning track and makes an over-the-shoulder catch. Gardner gave it a drive. The Yankees break out on top. 2-run home run by Brian McCann. Now it's time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. Insiders from Sportsnet.ca cover every angle of the Toronto Blue Jays. Breaking news, photos, videos, and tweets. A one-stop shop for everything Blue Jays. The Blue Jays Rundown. Only on Sportsnet.ca and the news today around the ballpark on Sportsnet.ca. Edwin Encarnacion's had a setback on the road to recovery. I think the injury was more significant initially, and the prospects of him returning were highly optimistic. He went down in a heap in Oakland when he pulled that quad muscle. There might be a possibility that it was even torn, but they suggested he was coming back possibly even for this series, and I think that was really optimistic.
No way. Not the way he went down at first base and how he was carried basically off the field in Oakland. That was just a couple of weeks ago. Let's see, 26 is about 3 weeks ago today. So optimistic is a good word. It's going to be a while. Now, it might be another 2 or 3 weeks before we see Evelyn.
Yeah, I would think 2 or 3 weeks would be a good time frame, and hopefully that'll be the case. But you don't have him here, so why worry about it? And John Gibbons has taken that approach. Hey, I got 25 men here. We'll do the best we can. Everybody wants Edwin back, but you can't push nature. 2-0 Yankees lead it. Anthony Ghost takes the first pitch for a strike. Chris Capuano making his first start since last September 6th when he was pitching with the Dodgers. That ball hit Ghost in foul ground before he could get out of the batter's box. Oh, 2. Not a bad idea for Ghost. You got a catcher playing first base. You got a left-handed pitcher falls off the mound toward third base. Good idea.
Yeah, once or twice a game, I think, for Anthony. Now get that batting average up. It'll pull the infielders in. Ghost could slap it right by him.
I was curious that he would attempt to bunt with 2 strikes. Took the breaking ball into dirt, down and away. Anthony Ghost, the left fielder, leading things off here in the 5th. Fouls this one out of play. Chris Capuano has already thrown 65 pitches, the most he had thrown to date this season, 52 in relief with the Red Sox. That came in a game against the Seattle Mariners on the 23rd of June, 2 1/3. He faced 13 batters and threw 52 pitches, so you got to believe Joe Girardi's going to keep an eye on him.
Well, he went over to the Rockies and made 4 starts down in the minor leagues for them, stretching him out, fully intending to go to Colorado and get put into their starting rotation. But you're right, somewhere between now and around 100 pitches, Joe Girardi's got to start thinking about going to his bullpen.
It's really interesting how the Blue Jays have had so many problems facing left-handed starters, and Capuano is in this situation just because of the Blue Jays' inability to hit against lefties. Those strikes out that high fastball. It's 4 strikeouts for Capuano. Jose Reyes will come to the plate with 1 out, and in between innings, he's standing on deck. You got a fan coming over and say, "Hey, how about a little picture, Jose?" Why not? Reyes, of course, played with the Mets, very popular player in this ballpark, and he still lives in the area, lives out on Long Island.
He's a star here in New York. They love him. So it's picture day when you're on deck like that, waiting for your turn.
Two balls and no strikes Reyes played 9 years with the Mets. Had some outstanding offensive seasons. He led the National League 4 times in triples, led it 3 times in stolen bases. Won the batting title for the Mets in 2011 when he hit .337, his only batting title. Pulls the bat back just in time. It's ball 3. Blue Jays are down. They need some base runners. Top of the order. Imperative that they get something going against Chris Capuano. Reyes will get on board for Melky Cabrera.
Finger cooked tonight. Order from over 100 menu items at bostonpizza.com. Proud partner of the Toronto Blue Jays.
A lot of great venues around the city of New York. In Manhattan, Grand Central Station, one of the iconic buildings in all of North America. A lot of movies have been shot right here in that Grand Hall of Grand Central Station. You go downstairs 2 or 3 levels, there's a bunch of great restaurants in there, including the Oyster House.
Leave it to you to find the restaurants in the train station.
I mean, it's really a good Oyster House.
You know more restaurants than, I don't know.
I like to eat. 1 out, Melky Cabrera with Reyes at first. Goes after that breaking ball and fouls it over the Yankee dugout. I mean, if you want to eat, New York's the place to do it. You can find anything.
I know whenever I want to eat, I just ask you where to go. You got a line on everything. But you're right. Right next to our hotel, there's a great restaurant.
One of the great French restaurants in the city of New York, right next door. Melky Cabrera behind 0-1. There's a base hit down the left field line. Reyes is around second. Extra bases for Cabrera. And they're waving Reyes home. Jeter gets the short hop, and Roberts won't make a throw. Aggressive move by Luis Rivera. Jeter was in good position to make a relay throw, but that hop really handcuffed him, and he had to let it go for Brian Roberts, the trailer.
Not a good throw from Brett Gardner, the left fielder. They might have had a shot. Luis Rivera being very aggressive with Jose Reyes. That ball was hit hard by Cabrera. You said you wanted some offense from the top of the lineup. Well, they're doing it. Cabrera rips that ball over Headley's glove in left field. Gardner gets over. And watch the relay. He short hops the ball to Jeter, so no chance to get Reyes.
Jose Bautista with Melky at second. Changeup is down and in.
Jose Reyes, as soon as the ball is hit, he's got to be thinking, I'm going to try and score. The way he runs so well. He's got to be thinking about scoring a run for the Blue Jays. Luis Rivera aggressively sends him, and he scores without a throw.
2-1 ball game. Bautista lays off the changeup ball in the dirt. Another thing that goes into that decision by the third base coach is where you are in the lineup. We talk about the top 4 in this batting order. You need them to produce, and that's why Rivera can gamble. He can't ask the bottom part of the lineup to deliver, so you've got to force it when you've got a chance to capitalize on the top 4 spots in this order.
And now they're just going to take the bat out of Bautista's hand. This is the right move right here. Referee wouldn't bite on any of those pitches in the dirt. Joe Girardi says, you know what, forget it. I'm going to go ahead and walk him, set up that double play. Bautista is such a smart hitter. Last night, a couple of fastballs from Kuroda. He was taking all the way 2-0 when he threw him a slider. He figured he was going to throw him a slider. Got the 3-0 and then got the green light and homered.
Now, and this is another factor of not having Edwin Encarnacion in the lineup. If Edwin were batting behind Bautista, the Yankees would have to pitch to him. But no Edwin, and you know, Yonder Navarro wouldn't be offended by that statement. He understands you're talking about one of the best power hitters in the game.
Yeah.
Absent.
So you take the bat out of Jose's hand and you hope to get the ball on the ground right here. Now Navarro's been swinging a hot bat himself. He singled his first time up and hit a ball hard to the third baseman last time.
New York leads it 2-1. He's out in front of that pitch. The one thing Yonder has to do is make sure he gets a good pitch to hit. You know, it'll rattle the cage of the hitter if that batter ahead of you gets an intentional pass. You say, okay, I'm going to show you, but you got to show restraint and patience to get a good pitch.
With nothing finer than walk that guy in front of you with guys on base, and you say, okay, I'll show you. Now you have to deliver.
One of the most vivid examples of that I remember in 1989, the Blue Jays were battling the Orioles down the stretch. They walked Junior Felix to get Lloyd Mosby, and it really rattled the cage of Mosby, and he came up and delivered a game-winning hit to the opposite field. But it was all a matter of being a guy that got the attention. It wasn't Mosby, obviously, in '89, but they walked Junior Felix, and a veteran hitter delivered right behind that walk. Navarro takes the pitch downstairs. It's 2-1, and the Yankee bullpen starting to go to work.
They walked Junior Felix to face Lloyd Mosby.
That's my recollection, and it just seems, it doesn't seem like the time frame is right. There's Jeff Francis, the left-hander, loosening up.
You might have been overthinking that one just a little bit, huh?
2-1 to Navarro. Base hit left field. Melky Cabrera is going to be stopped as that ball was hit right at Brett Gardner. Luis Rivera lined himself up perfectly to watch the third base bag and the left fielder. And that ball went directly to Brett Gardner, who came in aggressively charging it.
He was charging hard, too. Right at him. Gardner's got 3 assists this year. He was looking for number 4. Watch Rivera, the third base coach. He sees where his runner is. He sees where the ball is. One thing that you can judge if you're third base coach, does the outfielder have the ball before my runner gets to the bag? And if he does, that's a sure sign to hold him up.
Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, out to the mound while Melky Cabrera comes over and checks in with the bench, takes a nice glass of Gatorade to get refreshed on this humid afternoon. Yankees in a conference on the mound. Blue Jays have the bases loaded. A couple of walks contributing to this rally here in the 5th. Reyes walked and scored on Cabrera's double. Bautista was given an intentional walk. Navarro single, and then that has loaded the bases for Steve Tollison. Melky Cabrera encouraging Tollison to deliver, and Bautista saying, make sure you get the ball up.
He's going to be trying to throw changeup. Last time Tollison got a base hit, but it was on a check swing on a changeup.
Inside. Yankees scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th on Brian McCann's home run. Melky Cabrera has driven in a run. It's a 2-1 game. There's a fly ball that should score Cabrera. Bautista's tagging up at second. Melky tags at third. He's going to score. Bautista moves up, and Steve Tollison delivers the sac fly to center to tie this game at 2.
He made him get the ball up there. Looking for something up in the air that you can drive into the outfield at worst. A sacrifice fly. And Tollison delivers, picking up the RBI.
Got to get that runner in from third in that situation. That's exactly what he did. Tollison, his first sacrifice fly of the season, has tied it up. Melky Cabrera with an RBI double this inning. Bautista moved to third. Dan Johnson. He goes after the first pitch, and it's a high fly ball into center. Ellsbury is there. The inning is over, but the Blue Jays have tied it up. 2 runs on a pair of hits and 2 walks. It's 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Fifth, the Blue Jays will take on the front-running Baltimore Orioles. Game time is 7:07 p.m. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Joey Bats social media T-shirt giveaway, chosen by you, the fans. So make sure you get your tickets today by calling 416-341-1234 or log online at BlueJays.com to get your tickets for Connect with the Jays night. It's all presented by Honda.
Good choice right there. That's the one I would have voted if I voted.
I can't wait to see you wearing it. I'm sure you'll get one on that night.
Well, they know where the television booth is.
We'll check it out. Derek Jeter will lead things off here in the 5th. Jeter has already singled twice. He's 2 for 2. Of course, baseball fans are aware this is the Hall of Fame weekend. The induction ceremonies will take place tomorrow. And the Yankees have a vested interest in the Hall of Fame inductees. Joe Torre will go in as a Hall of Fame manager, part of 3 managers going in this class of 2014. And they expect record numbers at Cooperstown for the induction ceremony. How about the class of managers in this year's induction ceremony? Tony La Russa, Bobby Cox, and Joe Torre. That's as good as it gets.
And they're all intertwined if you look at their careers. Joe Torre was in Atlanta, and who took his place? Bobby Cox. Joe Torre was also in St. Louis, and Tony La Russa took over for him there. 2,236 victories for Joe Torre.
Bobby Cox saw his only big league action as a player right here with the Yankees. Played 220 games from 68 to 69, and then he became third base coach for the Yankees for a while. Went down to Atlanta to manage, then he came to Toronto, of course, and got things turned around. Broke my heart when I heard after the '85 season that Bobby Cox was leaving to go to Atlanta and become the general manager. Bobby Cox, of course, a very successful GM, and a bright one at that. And that when he drafted and signed all the players he wanted, he named himself manager again.
And scored the Hall of Fame. Stayed there.
Boy, I put together a pretty good team. I think I'm going to go down and manage it. Jeter takes one down and away. It's a full count.
article in the paper today, and Derek Jeter talking about Joe Torre. He said, basically, I had two managers my whole career here in New York. He had Buck Showalter for 15 games in '95, and then Torre was named manager. Joe Torre and Joe Girardi. That's been it. How about that for continuity?
Leadoff walk to Jeter.
The 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Good shot of the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan as the Blue Jays and the Yankees playing the middle game of this 3-game series. Derek Jeter's been on base 3 times. Second walk issued by Hutchison. Now Jacoby Ellsbury, the center fielder, will step in. First pitch strike thrown to Ellsbury. Ellsbury hasn't had any of the problems adjusting as a free agent after signing a 7-year contract. Talk about Brian McCann, really felt the intensity. Maybe it's the fact that Ellsbury played in Boston for so long and was aware of what he was dealing with when he signed with the Yankees.
It's a great point right there. The intensity of playing in Boston is just like playing here in New York. Every game is like the 7th game of the World Series.
And Joe Girardi understands that. He came to the Yankees as a player, 31 years old, well into his career. And he was caught up in the Yankee pinstripe emotion, trying to do a little bit more than was necessary. The late Don Zimmer was a coach under Joe Girardi here, and he had Girardi, or under Torre here, he had Girardi as a player in Chicago with the Cubs, and he told Girardi, just calm down, be Joe Girardi, that's why we traded. We wanted you.
Smart guy, smart catcher, good defensive catcher.
Ground ball barehanded by Hutchison. Strong throw to second, and Bautista couldn't make the connection. Hutchison barehanded it and then had a good grip on the baseball. Threw a strike to Reyes. The return throw was a little bit offline, and Bautista couldn't snare it.
Ball wasn't hit that hard, but what a play by Hutchison on the mound. He likes to show off his baseball skills from time to time. He got a couple of hits in Philadelphia here. He looks like a shortstop. Barehands it, flings it over to second base, and it looked like a chance for a double play, but Bautista missed that one. He jams up Ellsbury and throws a strike to second base.
Well, he caught it perfectly in the palm of his hand. Didn't have to re-grip the baseball at all. And there you see the ball just off the glove of Bautista. Jose playing in his 8th game at first base. Hutchison was trying to wave off the trainer and the pitching coach as they came out of the dugout. Hutchison said, I'm okay. Stay in the dugout. But Ellsbury's at first with 1 out.
And I bet you he's not there long.
Ellsbury has 28 steals this season. And with Beltran hitting from the left side, Hutchison has to remind himself he's got to break to third if Ellsbury takes off. A lot going on with this shift in play.
If he takes off at first base and is successful on a steal attempt.
There's a foul over the Blue Jays dugout. Hutch did a good job of unloading quickly before Ellsbury could really get set. Now the Blue Jays have shifted their shift a little bit in that they have flip-flopped Goins and Tollison. Now Tollison is between the second baseman and Bautista. put Goins back in his double play position, a little more familiar with the turn at second.
That's exactly why they did. A little bit stronger arm at second base and a little bit quicker.
Game is tied at 2-2. There goes Ellsbury. Ball is pulled on the ground. Collison throws to first to retrieve Beltran. Everybody converging at third base. Reyes took off at third. Hutchison took off at third. Ellsbury is now in scoring position at second.
They had that base covered. Surprised that Beltran swung at that pitch and he didn't give Ellsbury a chance to steal in front of him.
Ellsbury had a great jump. He was going to steal it easily, and then Beltran grounded out weakly to the third baseman who was playing in the shift. Now there are 2 outs. Brian McCann hit a 2-run home run off Hutchison into fourth. Inside. Ball 2. Hutchison crowding him with that fastball. He struck him out on a similar pitch in the first inning.
And then he tried to go away the second time up, and that's what Yankee Stadium can do. Even left-handers can go out there and pull a pitch on the outside part of the plate.
Two balls and a strike. Drew Hutchison working in the fifth. Hutchison has made some very positive adjustments in this start today. His changeup has been much better. His sliders had more depth to it, and he's made some good pitches with his fastball. And he walks McCann. Second walk of the inning. Third of the afternoon, and that'll bring Chase Headley to the plate. Headley was acquired by the Yankees to take over at third base, and what an addition he has been. He has fit in very well and has made contributions already. And a bunt single his last time up. Had 3 hits in the game last night.
Good changeup right there. He says coming over here, his teammates accepted him right away. He says he feels right at home and he wants to contribute to a team to try and get him into the playoffs. That wasn't going to happen in San Diego.
He went around. It's quickly 0-2. Headley was acquired on the 22nd of July for Yervis Solarte and a minor league pitcher. Not much of a price to pay for a switch hitting third baseman
who's won a Gold Glove and has been a Silver Slugger in the past. Switch hitter.
Teams are starting to get active as that trade deadline is inching closer and closer. The Giants improved their rotation by picking up Jake Peavy. Peavy, of course, knows the National League West very well, having spent the majority of his career with the Padres. A.J. Pierzynski signed with the Cardinals. How about Dan Uggla? Turned on the Giant game last night and goes, that looks like Dan Uggla.
Sure enough.
He was signed to a minor league contract, played at Fresno with the Grizzlies, and then was called up to AAA last night and started at second base.
How about all the veterans being designated for assignment?
Jim Johnson of the Oakland Athletics was let go. George Kataris from Toronto has been designated by the Cardinals with the Pierzynski signing. Lots of player movement, and we're going to see more before it's all said and done. 2-2 to Chase Headley. Another good pitch, a slider down and in. Headley strikes out. 6 strikeouts for Hutchison. It's a 2-2 game. We go to the 6th. Colby Erasmus will lead things off when we come back. Brought to you by the Sleeman Speakeasy. Only the notorious get in. Enter for your chance at SleemanSpeakeasy.ca.
This afternoon, we're going to call it the plays of the game, and it's going to feature the center fielder, Colby Rasmus sends this ball to Jacoby Ellsbury, and he takes away hits from the center fielder. And then Brett Gardner is going to send one to center field, and Colby Rasmus is going to take away a hit and RBIs against the Yankees. So the center fielder is getting into the act with their glove this afternoon.
Well, it's a good outfield for center fielders because there's a lot of room to roam, and you can really turn and run down those drives in the alleys. Colby Erasmus has been robbed of an extra base hit today, and he's taken one away. So we're in the 6th inning. Score is tied at 2-2. Rasmus has walked and lined out. This one's going to get down for a base hit. Nobody's going to catch that one as Brett Gardner plays it back in. Rasmus finally finds a hole.
Catch that one. That's what Colby says on that. He lined out a couple times last night, was robbed of that hit we just showed you from Jacoby Ellsbury. Line drive to left field. Stay right in on that ball, which he does. Good start in the 6th.
Ryan Goins had a sacrifice bunt in the 2nd. Might be asked to do the same right here. Not showing bunt, takes it inside. The hits are even now at 5. Line scores exactly the same. 2 runs on 5 hits, no errors for both the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Yankees right-hander Sean Kelly starting to throw in their bullpen.
There is Kelly starting to warm. This is a spot that if they're not going to bunt, you could possibly feel confident enough to maybe start that runner at first base. If you feel that Goins is going to get a pitch that he can hit.
There's a fastball strike. It's 1-1. Well, this is generally the action pitch, 1-1. You have a feel for a pitcher, what he's doing. Pitcher has an understanding that this might be a action play at first, starting the runner.
Try to get some movement on that infield.
There's the bunt up the first baseline. Capuano makes a nice grab. Boy, that gets by him. Chances might have been a base hit, but Rasmus moves into second on second sacrifice bunt by Goins.
You're absolutely right if that ball gets by him, because McCann, the first baseman, had gone to the bag. And Roberts, the second baseman, watch him. He's going over to the bag also, leaving the middle of the diamond wide open. If that ball gets by him, that's going to be a base hit, but it's a successful sacrifice. And a nice play by Capuano.
Goins does his job. Anthony Gose has struck out twice this afternoon. And you say, well, why would you sacrifice and give up an out with Gose striking out twice against the lefty pitching? Because you got 2 shots with Gose and Reyes at least. There's a fly ball to left. Easy play for Brett Gardner. 2 down. So now you're going to have Rasmus at second for Jose Reyes, leadoff man.
Which is never a bad thing. Get a guy up there who's swinging a hot bat, and if they decide to be careful with him, ended up walking like they did the next time or the last time, then Cabrera comes up next. The last thing he wanted to do after that leadoff single by Rasmus was go and swing away and hit into a double play. Then you wipe out any chance of really trying to get something going.
Reyes takes one up and away for ball 1. Reyes has hit .270 basically, right-handed and left-handed. Pulled on the ground. Headley from the line in time. The inning is over. The Blue Jays leave a runner in scoring position. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th in the Bronx. It's a 2-2 game. Right after this ball game, a terrific documentary called Scout's Honor will chronicle the life of Mel Didier. Mel Didier, a terrific scout and an executive. Didier spent 5 seasons in Montreal with the Expos as the guy that was putting together their minor league system, and then he went to Seattle. He was in Arizona with Buck Showalter early on. He was the Texas Rangers senior advisor that initiated and was the architect of that great trade when they traded Mark Teixeira to Atlanta. It's a terrific story, and Mel Didier is now an advisor to the Toronto Blue Jays, so make sure you check it out right after this ball game this afternoon.
You and I, we talk to Mel all the time when he's in town, and you always learn something when you sit down and you talk to him. I was grilling him one time about the Montreal Expos and how they got all those great players in the early 70s. He'd tell stories about Gary Carter and take that guy out there and start making him block a lot of balls in the dirt. You're going to be a star someday.
There was a great story about Mel when he was the farm director, and the manager who was managing Gary Carter had him play first base. A game or two, Mel saw the reports and called down there and said, if he plays first base again, you're fired. Ichiro pops out to start the bottom of the 6th inning, but Mel Didier is an iconic scout, and we're losing more of those scouts as they have gotten older. Mel's into his 80s now, and he has been a treasure for baseball. It's going to be a great story, so make sure you check it out. There are certain things that you can't gauge off a stat sheet, and Mel Didier was into character and heart and commitment. Brian Roberts pops this one up. Tollison moves into foul ground, and a couple of pop-outs here in the 6th. Drew Hutchison has bounced back from his shortest start of his career last time out.
Better fastball, better command. His changeup's better, his slider's better. It looks like he's changing speed with his fastball, also trying to turn it over.
Coming into this game, Drew Hutchison was the 6th pitcher in baseball in fly ball ratio. He had the lowest fly ball ratio, the 6th lowest in baseball. He's a high ball pitcher and gave up a lot of fly balls, but he's made an adjustment today. He doesn't throw many two-seam fastballs, and because of that, he has to be really good with his command.
Yeah, and he's still not getting a lot of ground ball outs, just 4 of them so far here into the 6th inning. He'll get a share of fly ball outs, but he's got to keep the fastball down, and he has done that today.
Cervelli gets hit by a pitch, and you can see him talking to the umpire, say, hey, remember, there was a warning in place. And now Joe Girardi's coming out and saying, listen, there was a warning in place that he just hit my batter. But it was the umpire's understanding whether there was intent behind the hit batter. Alan Porter is obviously explaining to Girardi he didn't think there was anything intentional, but no. Cervelli, the catcher, has turned to the umpire right here and said, hey, remember, there's a warning in place. They were trying to get Hutchison out of the game.
Well, you don't automatically throw him out there. It's got to be in the mind of the umpire intent to try and throw at him. And Hutch wasn't throwing at him. I mean, look at the situation.
Well, I agree with you 100%, but I got thrown out in Yankee Stadium in a very similar situation. When the warning was in place, Chris Mahalik hit Chuck Knobloch with a breaking ball in the back foot, and they threw us out of the game. We were just trying to close out the game. We were getting hammered that day. And I'll never forget it. Charlie Relaford threw me out from first base. I lost my voice screaming at him.
For so loud and so long.
Don Zimmer was sitting on the Yankee bench, and he was laughing at me.
You got thrown out because your pitcher, now Mahalik, he didn't throw very hard.
He hit Knobloch with a breaking ball in the back foot. There's a pop-up, and that's out of play.
I didn't know it was the first base umpire's job to throw guys out.
Yeah, he was the crew chief, and he threw me out. And I screamed at him, but I lost my voice for the next few days. We were getting embarrassed, and Mahalik was just trying to close out the game. It was about the 7th, 8th inning, and it was a lopsided game, and I was just trying to get Mahalik to pitch the rest of the game. Brett Gardner grounds it to second. Big hop for Goins. And Drew Hutchison is through 6 innings at the 2-2 game. He's held the Yankees to just 5 hits. first start for the Yankees goes 6 innings. He allows 5 issues, 2 earned runs. The 4 walks created a problem for Capuano. One of those walks came in to score, and a intentional walk. They both came in to score in the 5th inning. So Capuano holds his own today in his first start for 94 pitches. Now it's over to the bullpen for the Yankees.
On target right there. That's what they were thinking. Right around 100 pitches. That got him 6 innings. Now we head to the 7th. Sean Kelly into the ball game. 1-2, 345 earned run average for Sean Kelly. He's going to be around the plate. He uses the fastball. He's got a very good slider. We saw Sean Kelly yesterday come in and throw 1 pitch and get out on the 7th inning.
Kelly threw 1 pitch to the pinch hitter Dan Johnson and closed out that 7th inning, as there was quite a chess match. Kawasaki was the batter. Tollefson was announced as the pinch hitter, and Girardi countered that move with Sean Kelly. So now Melky Cabrera will turn around and bat as a lefty hitter for the first time to face Kelly. We're in the 7th. It's a 2-2 game. Melky Cabrera picked up his 53rd RBI in the 5th. He's got 27 doubles now.
Like he always does, he'll look over that first pitch.
Melky's tied for 5th in the American League with those 27 doubles. Two and 0. Boy, if there was ever a team in need of a win, it's the Blue Jays. They've lost 17 straight in this ballpark.
Just so people stop talking about it. I mean, it gets really tiring when you come to New York and the press keeps asking you about, well, you know, you're going to win today. You know, you've lost 15, 16, and now 17 games in a row. Players get tired of talking about it. So does the manager.
And you know what you have to do? Win a game. Then we'll all stop talking about it. This is the 2nd game of a 3-city 10-game road trip, and the Blue Jays' fortunes possibly in the balance on this road trip. It went all the way back to the screen. Melky Cabrera will go to first with the leadoff walk.
Well, that's something that Sean Kelly doesn't do a lot of. And now he's asking for trouble. This is how the Blue Jays scored in the 5th inning after a walk to Reyes. He came around to score. Cervelli whiffs on that one.
It's only the 12th walk issued by Kelly. 31 in the 3rd innings of work. He has 40 strikeouts. This Yankee bullpen can rack up the strikeouts. They lead the majors in strikeouts. So Bautista has been on base twice. He was hit by a pitch in the 1st and issued the intentional walk in the 5th. Cervelli quickly out to the mound after that first pitch. Bautista ducked back from that inside fastball. Jose had a 2-homer game here last night at Yankee Stadium, his first multi-home run game in the stadium. That was an interesting pitch. Looked like a slider that backed up all the way to the inside part of the plate.
Stayed on the inside part of the plate. And Jose saying, give me one more of those.
Boy, they're working him inside. That slider was meant to be away, but the fastballs have been inside. Everything right on that inside corner. Drill to left field. Cabrera. He's around second, headed for third. Gardner plays it off the wall, and Bautista's headed for second with another double. Bautista his 20th double of the season. The Blue Jays have something going in the 7th.
You know, his bat is so quick. And I was talking to Kevin Seitzer today before the game, and I was asking him, hey, what do you see from Jose? And he says his swing is so tension-free. And you can see how quick he turns on that fastball. He had a sense that they were trying to jam him up with that fastball in the inner half, and he showed him what he could do with it. Turns it right around.
So now Deanna Navarro will bat left-handed, but before he does, Cervelli's going to go to the mound and talk things over with Kelly as pitcher.
And so is Derek Jeter. First base is open. Navarro has been a good RBI man over the last 10 days or so.
On the ground, Melky holds. Now they've got Cabrera, and you got a throw to second base. Bautista is safe by McCann. The catcher playing first base got all crossed up. Melky Cabrera did a terrific job of baiting him to keep an eye on him at third. And that distracted McCann to the point where Navarro reaches safely. Well, and then he made a throw to second, and it was late.
It worked out. First of all, Bautista is going to take off on the ground ball, assuming that Cabrera is going to go. But when he stops, now we're going to have two players at third base. It got the attention so much of McCann that once he looked to try and get the runner, he was by him, and all hands are safe.
That's what happens when you have players playing out of position. Bases loaded now for Thomason. Cuts on the first pitch. Navarro, with the fielder's choice, reaches first safely. Bautista slid back into second. So a walk, a double, and a fielder's choice, and the Blue Jays have the bases loaded. 0-2, a couple of breaking balls.
Isn't that so true when you've got players playing out of position? They're just not sure of all the little intricacies of playing that position. It's like asking a shortstop to go back and catch and say, okay, block every ball in the dirt.
Yeah, it's just not a natural reaction.
Yeah, you just don't have the experience.
Yeah, you can make all the routine plays, but when you have an unusual play that requires instincts, you're going to be out of sorts. Collison strikes out on 3 pitches. Well, now Dan Johnson will come to the plate. The Yankees have a left-hander ready in their bullpen, and here comes Joe Girardi. Here's the slider that gets Collison down and away.
Threw him all breaking balls, and he comes up with a strikeout, which he needed right there. And now the Blue Jays, not having a right-hander on the bench, do not have a counter move right here. You got 4 left-handers coming up in a row. So Joe Girardi's going to go to his bullpen.
Pitching change in the Bronx. Dan Johnson is the hitter. Matt Thornton, the big lefty, will come on to face him. Bases loaded, 1 out. Interesting goings on here in the 7th. Matt Thornton in with the bases loaded and 1 out. This will be his 43rd appearance of the season. You see his numbers against lefties. They have a 265 against him,
which is actually higher than right-handers. He's part of a very good bullpen for the New York Yankees. He's a strikeout pitcher. Does not have a win this season, but a very good earned run average, and he's brought into this game to face the left-handers. First, Dan Johnson, who is DHing this afternoon.
Dan Johnson, so far in this game, has gone 0 for 3. He has faced Matt Thornton in the past. He's 2 for 6 against Thornton with a home run. Bases loaded. First pitch is upstairs. Melky Cabrera walked to start the inning. Bautista had a double to left, and Navarro reached on a fielder's choice. Then Tollison struck out. That's a little jam shot, and that's going to drop. Brian Roberts bobbles it, and everybody's safe. That ball went about 80 feet, and Johnson gets a base hit and an RBI. Roberts, the second baseman, played it on the hop. He was coming home, but he bobbled it, and Cabrera scores from third. The bases remain loaded.
He was coming home because Brian McCann was coming over to try and get that little humpback liner also. He's jammed, and here comes McCann.
Nobody is at first. Matt Thornton, the pitcher, and Roberts' only play was going to be to home. McCann again out of position, and he bumps into Roberts. Yep. So the Blue Jays have taken the lead. It is a base hit, maybe the shortest base hit of Dan Johnson's career.
Yeah, Brian McCann came over once again going after that. Just not real sure if it's his ball or the second baseman's ball, and actually hit Roberts' foot when he was trying to make that play.
Colby Rasmus behind 0-1. Now it's a ball and a strike. Rasmus singled his last time up. Blue Jays with a 3-2 lead. Could the Jays' fortunes be turning around here at Yankee Stadium?
Are they getting the breaks?
How about this inning? A leadoff walk. Bautista then doubled. Navarro hit a routine ground ball to the first that McCann double clutched on, and Navarro was safe on the fielder's choice.
That should have been the first out. Strikeout, and then that little jam shot the second.
Rasmus strikes out on an inside fastball, 2 down.
Well, you got to make Matt Thornton throw the ball over the plate. He's going to go right underneath the arms of Rasmus, and he strikes out.
Joe Girardi is not too anxious to bring another right-hander in here. The big bat's only on the bench. Francisco's the only big bat that the Blue Jays have, and he's left-handed. So Ryan Goins will bat with 2 outs and the bases still loaded. Right back to the mound. Thornton gathers himself. That ends the inning, but the Blue Jays have taken the lead. They score a run on an infield hit. Melky Cabrera walked in, came around to score. And it was a very unusual inning. Melky Cabrera started the inning with a leadoff walk. Bautista then doubled. And then Brian McCann, playing just his 7th game at first base, got all mixed up with Brian Roberts, the second baseman. That led to the go-ahead run.
Well, he had the first one with a ground ball by Navarro right at him at first base, and he wasn't sure if he was going to come home or if he wasn't sure if he was going to go over to first base. But then this is the play you're talking about. Dan Johnson, watch the legs get tangled up, and he just clips Brian Roberts a little bit to distract him. I know that distracts him. As a fielder, you're not anticipating your leg to get kicked ever so slightly like that. And that was a little bit of a problem right there. He should have gone over to first base to give him a chance, if he didn't go home, to go over to first base to get the out. And that kind of play right there is helping the Blue Jays.
Well, and Matt Thornton, the pitcher, should have gone to first base. He had no chance to make a play. And some of you are wondering, well, maybe it should have been an infield fly with the bases loaded and one out, but it wasn't a routine pop fly where the fielder could get under it. So it goes as an RBI single for Dan Johnson. What an inning for the Blue Jays, and they have taken a 3-2 lead. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Great shot of lower Manhattan. And this is a gorgeous afternoon, and Derek Jeter is going to lead things off for the 4th time this afternoon. Brett Gardner unusually having a tough day against the Blue Jays. He's 0 for 4, so Jeter has led off 3 times. This will be the 4th time here in the 7th.
Already 2 for 2 with a walk. Drew Hutchison now has the lead.
Jeter goes after the first pitch and fouls it into the seats. Drew Hutchison has held the Yankees to 2 runs on 5 hits. The Blue Jays have 3 runs on 7 hits. Brian McCann with a 2-run homer in the 4th, accounting for the Yankee runs. Boy, that's where you got to pitch to Jeter. He hits the ball inside out, and it's tough to inside out that low strike. Looks like he's sinking the ball a little bit more this afternoon than we have seen in the past.
He is, and he's changing speed on his fastball. Jeter stands off the plate and really dives into the ball and really tries to go the other way with that inside out swing. If you make a mistake on the inner half, he's liable to turn on it. But I'm with you. Inside.
It's just hard to inside out that low strike. Pitch up and away.
Oh, he got away with one too.
Yeah, he did. That's the ball that Jeter can drive.
That is not a good 0-2 pitch.
Hard slider in the dirt. Drew Hutchison has been economical with his pitches this afternoon, despite the fact that he has walked 3. Only thrown 87 pitches. He's got a lot in his tank. Jacoby Ellsbury is next. A left-handed bat with that. Aaron Loop is loosening him. Good slider. Good depth on that breaking ball right there, and Jeter strikes out. Drew Hutchison, we mentioned, this is just his 32nd major league start. He's making some adjustments, but it's unusual that a young pitcher would struggle so at home and have so much success on the road.
And wild swings also from the home to the road splits. You can see at home over 300, just 238, which is very good on the road. An outstanding earned run average in his 12 starts away from Rogers Center. Usually you'll get young guys coming up here and getting all flustered pitching on the road. He seems to thrive.
Ellsbury hits the ground ball to Reyes, who's behind second, and that's a big out. 2 down now in the 7th.
Well, his slider's better. And you and I talk to Pete Walker all the time. talk about Drew Hutchison. We're trying to get him to get that ball out in front where he can really pull it down and get that slider off that hitting plane. This afternoon, he's got a good slider.
Yeah, he sure does, and his afternoon has come to an end. Carlos Beltran, a switch hitter with that short porch in right field. They're going to flip him around and bring in the left-hander. Drew Hutchison can walk off the mound and hold his head high. He leaves with a 1-run lead and turns things over to Aaron Loup. Beltran will bat right-handed when we come back. Runs in just 2 2/3 innings his last time out against the Red Sox. Drew Hutchison pitched very well here this afternoon, pitching into the 7th inning.
Very strong. 7 strikeouts for Hutchison, 6 2/3 innings. Hadn't given up a hit since the 4th inning. Seems to be getting stronger as this game went along. Got the first 2 batters quickly here in the 7th inning. He will give way now to Aaron Loup. They're going to turn Carlos Beltran around. Beltran hitting just 208 from the right side. Here are Loop's numbers.
Beltran 24-96 as a right-handed hitter. It doesn't make any difference to Aaron Loup, lefty-righty. He is effective against either hitter. Beltran is 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch and walked. This ground ball is going to sneak through the infield into center. A 2-out base hit for Beltran, and now Loup will work to a left-handed bat in Brian McCann with a man aboard and 2 outs.
They got the shift on, and Beltran beats the shift by grounding a ball between Goins and Reyes.
Brian McCann hit the 2-run home run off Hutchison in the 4th. His 11th home run of the season. Ground ball. Goins was out in right field with the shift. Throws to first. Loup closes out the Yankees in the 7th. We'll go to the 8th. Drew Hutchison in line for the win. 3-2 Blue Jays. Sony Smart Band. Get yours at Rogers today for just $24.99 when you upgrade or switch to select new Android phones on a 2-year share everything plan. Check it out. Go to Rogers and find out about your Sony Smart Band. You can get one today. Happy birthday. That's an interesting Yankee, huh? Young lady enjoying a birthday here at Yankee Stadium. Anthony Gose will start things off here in the 8th against Matt Thornton. Thornton came into the ball game and gave up a little looping line drive base hit to the second baseman, Brian Roberts, that allowed their go-ahead run to come.
Yankees gave the Blue Jays 5 outs last inning. They took advantage of it.
Blue Jays scored a run on 2 hits, had a couple of strikeouts in the inning, but Brian McCann was involved in a couple of interesting plays at first. Gose pops it up. McCann can't get there in time. McCann filling in for the injured Mark Teixeira, and you got to give him accolades for saying, I'll play first.
Sure.
Joe Girardi has said it's open audition every day to see who can play first. They lost their backup first baseman, Kelly Johnson. He's on the disabled list, so Girardi has literally had tryouts over at first. He's used Brendan Ryan, the shortstop, at first base. Brian McCann making his 7th start over at first.
And they are hoping that Teixeira is going to be okay, although they're not real sure. He's got a lat strain on the left side of his body.
Both the Blue Jays and the Yankees have just 3 position players on their bench. Mark Teixeira is iffy if he can even contribute. They can't use him just yet, but they don't want to disable him. Blue Jays are in a similar situation. They have the knuckleball catcher Josh Tolley on the bench, and then Kawasaki and Francisco. That's why players like Brock Holt and Ben Zobrist are so appealing to American League clubs. They can play infield and they can play outfield, and in Zobrist's case, he's a switch hitter.
He's a switch hitter, and they're not going to hurt you defensively. As a manager, you can put them anywhere on that diamond, and they're going to try and help you win a ball game.
Gose hits it on the ground. Another test for McCann. He'll field it and step on the bag. And you can hear the crowd reaction as McCann has had a tough day in the field.
What do they call that? The Bronx cheer?
That is where it started, right here. Jose Reyes, the shortstop, 0 for 3 with a walk. He walked and scored in the 5th. He scored from first base on Melky Cabrera's double to left. Ball is a laser into the second deck behind the Yankees dugout. Joe Girardi using Matt Thornton. He's the 3rd pitcher to work. Chris Capuano started, went 6 innings. As fouls it up. Sean Kelly pitched the 3rd of an inning. He's the pitcher of record for New York. He was charged with a run on just 1 hit. But Kelly had a leadoff walk, Melky Cabrera, and he came around to score the go-ahead run.
3 lefties in the bullpen for the Yankees, and we've seen Thornton.
Thornton swiped at it. Reyes is thrown out by Roberts. 2 down. Melky Cabrera with a couple of runs scored. He's driven in a run, scored 2, and he's had a double. He goes after that first pitch.
They aren't getting around on that fastball. Still pretty good velo from Matt Thornton. 96 miles an hour on that one.
Thornton is 37 years old. He'll turn 38 on the 15th of September. Former #1 pick of the Seattle Mariners. Boy, 96 again with good movement. Thornton is from Michigan. Seattle took him out of Grand Valley State University in 1999. Spent 8 years with the White Sox, and I'll never understand why Seattle gave him up. He strikes out Melky Cabrera. Good inning for Thornton. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Blue Jays have a 1-run lead. It's 3-2 here in New York. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. To the game on Sportsnet Pacific. It'll be the 3rd game of a 4-game series between the Orioles and the Mariners. But Norris will go to the mound for the Orioles. It'll be closed by Chris Young, the big right-hander. Be kind of interesting to see how the Orioles continue. Right now they are 5-3 on their 10-game West Coast road trip. You've got to really tip your cap to the Orioles. They have gone out to the West Coast, which has really become the toughest division in the American League, and they've played very well.
Yeah, they lost the series to Oakland to start. They won the series in Anaheim, and now chance to win the second game in Seattle.
Chase Headley, the 3rd baseman, batting right-handed. Headley's a switch hitter. He had a bunt single in the 4th. Yankees are down 3-2. And Luke pumps one by Chase Headley. Tim Liepert moving the outfield defense around. He's got a couple of outfielders in different positions than normal. Melky Cabrera is playing in right with Bautista playing first, and Anthony Gose is in left. So they are playing in different positions, and Leeper's trying to get the attention of his outfielders.
What he's telling them is he doesn't think that Headley's going to get around on that fastball from Loop, so he's trying to push Colby Rasmus into right center. Looks like they're working him away, and he's not getting around on that fastball.
Rasmus was the DH here in last night's game. He's back in center. Bautista playing at first base, and John Gibbons has utilized Jose over at first quite a bit recently. Inside, just missed. Boy, another fastball, another pitch that's fouled off. And Sanchez, who is that? And McGowan or Sanchez? It's McGowan, yep. McGowan is up. He's thrown the ball very well lately. Had a good inning in last night's game. 1, 2, 3, 8th inning. Quite a battle going on here between Loop and Headley.
Loop's got that fastball, that crossfire delivery where he can really get in on those right-handers. Headley not real familiar with Loop. He's diving out over the plate, and Loop has taken a couple of shots on the inner half of that fastball, but he's been able to foul it off.
Another good battle here. 9 pitch at bat so far, and Headley is hanging tough against Loop.
How about one shot at throwing a breaking ball right here? Not a changeup, the breaking ball. You might get him.
There it is. That's the breaking ball, and that gives Loop the strikeout. First out of the bottom of the 8th.
Well, he had him set up for it. The fastball's in, fastball's away, fastball away. Now you go slider, and as a hitter, you're thinking, well, he's coming back in there with the fastball, and that ball dips right underneath your bat. It was a battle, but Loop won it.
Ichiro Suzuki now, left-handed hitter against Loop. Strike 1. Suzuki just 1 for 5 against the Blue Jays left-hander. Ichiro has gone 0 for 3 this afternoon after hitting his first home run of the season last night.
He's running over to first base, isn't he? And just slapping it the other way.
Aaron Loop gave up a single to Carlos Beltran, the first batter he faced, then got McCann to ground out to end the 7th. Boy, he waits longer than anybody to protect that strike zone, especially when he's got 2 strikes. That ball was nearly in Navarro's catcher's glove when he fouled it off.
What's the best remedy now when you see a batter like that? To throw something really slow?
It's just on the ground. Reyes will have to unload in a hurry. Throws low to Bautista, who scooped it out. Bautista really got a tough throw to handle. He's looking across to Reyes, said, hey man, I'm a right fielder. Throw me a little better throw next time. But Reyes double clutched when he went into his glove.
We got a couple of players playing out of position over at first base, and it's a little bit more difficult than you think. This ball goes down in the dirt, and Jose says, no problem, I'll pick it. Ichiro with that running start over to first base almost beats it, but a great play by Jose going out there to pick that one.
Well, his background as a third baseman certainly came into play on that throw. Brian Roberts, a switch hitter, batting right-handed. Roberts is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Boy, Loop's sneaky, isn't he? All of these hitters are late on his fastball.
Just 92 miles an hour, but the way he throws it. Starts over on the first base side of the pitching rubber. Really throws across his body, and all of a sudden the ball's on top of you.
Change up, and Roberts wouldn't chase. It's 2 balls and a strike to the Yankees second baseman.
There's Loop over on the first base side, creating a nice angle to home plate.
Francisco Cervelli is on deck. There's Loop getting on that first base side of the pitching rubber. Really creates a more dramatic angle with that crossfire delivery. There's a strike. full count to Roberts. A 2-out walk pitch was upstairs to Brian Roberts.
John Gibbons checks quickly with his pitching coach to see if McGowan is ready. Lee Walker going to go out there to talk to Luke. He's got the matchup he wants if he wants to go right-hander versus right-hander here.
Fans, we want to remind you the replica Blue Jays BP Cap Giveaway Day is presented by Honda. It'll take place Sunday, August 10th, when the Blue Jays take on the Tigers. Game time is 1:07 p.m. First 20,000 fans will receive a replica Blue Jays BP Cap. Call the Jays at 416-341-1234 or log online at BlueJays.com to get your tickets for the replica Blue Jays BP Cap Giveaway Day. Sunday, August 10th. Well, Brian Roberts is at first base. He was a premier base stealer early in his career. He is 7 for 11 this season. Cervelli goes after the first pitch and pops it into the seats. Brian Roberts had a 50 steal season in 2007 while playing with the Orioles. He really has a knack for getting great jumps at first, even though he has lost some foot speed.
And he'll pitch those, or pick out those pitchers. They'll pick something out on them when they know they're going home or when they're going over to first base.
Roberts' father, Mike, was a longtime college coach, University of North Carolina. And as a youngster, 5 and 6 years old, Brian Roberts was studying not only hitting, but also base running. He's always been one of the better base stealers in the game. He just has an eye for picking up pitchers' deliveries when they're going to go to the plate. Sometimes he'll get such a big jump, he doesn't even trust it.
And right now, he's just trying to distract Aaron Loop at the plate, faking like he is going when Loop picks up his front foot. Just taking a step towards second.
Big swing from Cervelli, and now it's a 2-2 count. Blue Jays holding on to a 3-2 lead. Bottom of the 8th inning. Breaking ball inside. It's a full count with 2 outs. Brian Roberts will get a running start at first. Jose Bautista wants to know where the bench wants him to play, and you've got to hold Roberts on.
Yeah, you have to hold him on right there so he doesn't get that big of a jump. You've left the left-hander in there, Luke versus the right-hander Cervelli, to keep Roberts at first base.
There goes Roberts. The ball is fouled into the seats, out of play. Well, John Gibbons electing to keep Loop in the game because you got Brett Gardner behind him. Brett Gardner, a lefty as well. So if Cervelli can reach, Loop will stay on the pitch to Gardner. Jeter follows Gardner. Ball 4. So back-to-back walks with 2 outs. All season long, the walks have been a problem. John Gibbons has not been happy with the strike zone of Alan Porter all afternoon.
He thought that one caught the outside part of the plate. In fact, I think Gibby and the coaches thought there were a couple pitches that caught the plate with Cervelli.
The Blue Jays bullpen has averaged 3.94 walks per 9 innings. That's 14th in the American League. Obviously, in a one-run game, you have back-to-back 2-out walks in the 8th inning. You're asking for trouble.
Well, look who they walked, too. The number 8 and the number 9 batters in the batting order for the Yankees.
Brett Gardner is 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. First pitch strike delivered by Luke.
Well, that's why you get on him right there, so you get those borderline pitches. That ball was on the ground. Gardner doesn't think it was a strike.
That ball nearly hit him on the thumb. Right down on the bat handle. He was really late and fouls it back. He is behind 0-2. Boy, Luke's got to be murder on left-handed hitters.
And watch how Gardner is late and just barely gets a piece of that one.
That ball hit on the white part of the bat hand. Just inches above his hands. 0-2. Gardner this season against the Blue Jays has driven in 6. Coming into this game with a .353 batting average. Way outside with a breaking ball. It's 2-2.
This is where he wants to make a pitch right here. Doesn't want to go to 3-2 to give those runners a running start. This is where you have all those scouting reports that say, okay, 2-2, runners on base. This is the pitch you can get them with.
Breaking ball. It's a full count. Rob Drake down at third was asked if there was a swing, and now the Blue Jays are up against it.
And now with the runners running, if there's a ball on the ground with Gardner's speed, instead of getting that force out at second base, they're going to have to make that play across the diamond.
Strike 3 call. Aaron Luke strikes out Brett Gardner, caught looking at strike 3. The Yankees leave a pair. We'll go to the 9th. The Blue Jays looking to snap that long losing streak. 15th appearance of the season, and he is in the bullpen now. His opponent's batting average over 300 for lefties and for righties, and Jose Bautista will be the first batter to face Whitley here in the ninth. Bautista with a couple of home runs last night. He increases his home run total. When you look at the home run leaders around baseball, since 2010, Bautista is tied with Miguel Cabrera with 172. They lead Albert Pujols and Edwin Encarnacion, the most prolific home run hitters in baseball since 2010.
Pujols and Cabrera might get all the ink as being the best hitters, but it's Jose Bautista who leads them all, and he's showing you why in this series. 3-0 pitch. He uncorks it into the stands in left field. 3-run home run in the first inning, and then his next time up slider that just spins over the plate. What a night for Jose. He's hit 3 home runs now in 3 games. And wouldn't it be nice for him to get another one here? A little breathing room for the Blue Jays as they bat in the ninth.
Blue Jays clinging to a 1-run lead. Bautista has been on base 3 times. He's been on base 6 of the 8 plate appearances in this series so far. Had a 3-hit night last night. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Whitley was originally the starting pitcher in this game, and he was pushed back in favor of Chris Capuano. He has made 2 starts against the Blue Jays, and they've hit him hard. 16 hits in 8 1/3 innings, including a home run. The Blue Jays have hit .390 against him in those 2 starts.
Fastball, breaking ball, changeup is probably his best pitch, and the Blue Jays have been all over that in his couple of starts.
Bounced in the dirt. Whitley pitched okay against the Blue Jays in his start here at Yankee Stadium, but when he took on the Jays at Rogers Center, they hit him hard. Lasted just 3 1/3. He gave up 8 runs on 11 hits in 3 1/3.
It was a nice story for him early in the season when they had some of the injuries to their starters, Michael Pineda and Nova. But he's been around now for a while. His 2nd time, 3rd time through the league, and they're catching up to him.
Yeah, he filled the void for a while. He took his first start on the 15th of May. And then he kind of filled in. Didn't win his first game until the 6th of June at Kansas City. He beat the Royals 4-2. Pick up his first win. And now he's been bumped back to the bullpen. Both of these clubs are currently carrying 8 relievers, and that really hamstrings the manager. Just don't have many options, but both teams have to do it with inconsistent starting pitching. Bautista will walk for a 2nd time today. He leads things off with a walk here in the 9th. Casey Jansen, the closer, loosening up. Jansen picked up his 15th save Wednesday night against Boston. Really starting to feel good again after that bout with that virus he picked up during the All-Star break. Couple more hits for Navarro this afternoon. Inside with the fastball, it's 1-1 to Navarro. Yankees scoring their only 2 runs in the 4th inning on a 2-run home run by Brian McCann. There's a liner down the left field line. It's a fair ball. It gets down into the corner, and Bautista will go to third base. Navarro ends up at second with his second hit of the afternoon. For Navarro, his 15th double. He is swinging the bat well.
This is the part of the lineup for the Blue Jays that has been dynamite this afternoon. Melky Cabrera's been on a couple of times. Jose's been on 4 times. And now this is the 4th time that Tiana Navarro has been on base. Takes that off-speed pitch away from him and slices it to left field. Brett Gardner did a good job of cutting that ball off and getting it back in, holding Bautista at third base. Jays are in business again.
Steve Tollison is the batter. Tollison had the sac fly in the 5th. They've got a left-handed pitcher standing by, and that's why Tollison is going to bat against the righty. If Gibbons uses Francisco, Jeff Francis would come into the game to face him. So now Tollison has to deliver. Pitch upstairs. This wouldn't really surprise me if they asked Tollison to bunt. Maybe use the squeeze play in this situation.
It's been successful for other teams, Tampa Bay in particular. Safety squeeze, just bunt the ball to the first baseman.
Breaking ball on the corner, a ball and a strike.
He's had a couple of plays that have benefited the Blue Jays already this afternoon.
Inside off the plate. Tollison is 1 for 2. He has walked, singled, had a sac fly, and struck out. He struck out on 3 pitches against Sean Kelly in the 7th. Now it's 3-1. Dan Johnson is on deck. Johnson drove in the go-ahead run in the 7th. Waves at that breaking ball way outside. Now it's a full count. Probably going to get the same pitch right here.
Yeah, first base is open. You got all the left-handers coming up, and the left-hander in the bullpen.
Bautista walked. He's now at third. Another breaking ball, and ball is fouled. And Cervelli saying, "I caught that ball." They didn't ask Joe West, the first base umpire, to rule on it, but Alan Porter said he trapped it after it bounced in the dirt. So it'll be another 3-2 pitch. Big runs on base.
Big insurance.
Strike 3 call. That inside breaking ball catches the corner. 2 outs. Now it's time for Drive of the Game. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car. 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Our Drive of the Game is actually the humpback liner of the game right here, as Dan Johnson is jammed by this fastball, and it's going to work out for the Blue Jays. The Yankees converge. They can't come up with it, and right now that's the difference in this ball game. Roberts can't come up with it. Melky scores. Dan Johnson gets an RBI single for our Drive of the Game.
The shortest drive of the game in history. But he'll take it. Blue Jays have the lead. Joe Girardi has made the pitching change. Canadian Jeff Francis into the game to face Dan Johnson when we come back. Francis from North Delta, BC will be into the ball game. Francis, 11 games between Cincinnati, Oakland, and New York. He's got a 1-2 record. He's also got a save already this season.
Yeah, he made his Yankees debut just on Tuesday. That was versus Texas. He tossed a scoreless 14th inning for their team. He's also spent some time with Kansas City and Colorado. He has been around. He's a nice addition for their bullpen, a veteran. Won't get phased and freaked out in these type of situations. Bases loaded and just one out.
He has been a starter for the majority of his career. Dan Johnson had the RBI back in the 7th. Makes a breaking ball downstairs. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Blue Jays are up by a run as they bat in the 9th. Trying to snap a 17-game losing streak here in New York. Close pitch. Now it's 2 balls and no strikes. Blue Jays are really hamstrung without a right-handed bat on their bench. 4 left-handers, bottom of the order. Cued off the end of the bat.
Yeah, there's not a lot that John Gibbons can do right here.
I tell you what, your hands are tied when you have to carry 8 relievers, and that's the case for John Gibbons. You just don't have that versatility, that extra man on the bench.
They could use a right-hander in these situations right here.
There's a drive to right. Get up, and gone. Dan Johnson with his 2nd career home run here at Yankee Stadium has given the Blue Jays a big cushion here in the 9th.
Blue Jay fans are going to be loving that one. Looked like Francis just flipped the breaking ball out there, and Johnson all over that one. Some much needed insurance. 3 runs now in the 9th inning for the Blue Jays off the bat of Dan Johnson.
Johnson with a 4 RBI day. A big swing of the bat. That'll make you a big part of the team in a hurry.
Yeah. Put some smiles on the faces of his teammates.
Kobe Erasmus waves at that breaking ball.
One more time. Watch this. Flip the breaking ball. Didn't hit a spot, and Dan Johnson, he's been around. He connects.
First home run of the season. He hit 17 in AAA Buffalo. Two balls and a strike.
Looked like they're trying to go slider that just spun. As a hitter, you see that coming out of his hand like that, and you're already sitting on a breaking ball. It doesn't do anything. Man, you can get excited.
Dan Johnson's first 4 RBI game since September 15, 2010. When he also had 4 RBIs against the Yankees. Nice play by McCann at first. Again, Rasmus hits it hard, but lines into the out. So the Blue Jays now with a 6-2 lead. Casey Janssen had loosened up, anticipating a save opportunity. Now you have to wonder, are they going to hold him back or just send him out there hopeful of a quick inning?
I know what I would do if I was managing.
Hold him back.
No, I bring him in. I've lost 17 in a row here. I don't care if it's a safe situation or not. I want the W.
Yeah, I agree with that. Win the game. Ryan Goins, the second baseman, takes a strike. You mentioned the last 4 RBI game for Dan Johnson was against the Yankees in Tampa Bay in 2010. He was 2 for 3, hit a 2-run home run, drove in 4 runs. Just what the doctor ordered if you're John Gibbons. His 9th 4 RBI game of his career, one off his career high. He drove in 5 in 2012 against Cleveland. Cohen stays alive as he waits back on that breaking ball. Two of the 3 runs in this inning will be charged to Chase Whitley. He walked Bautista to lead the inning off and then gave up a double to Navarro. They both came in to score. So Whitley continues to be hammered by the Blue Jays. Gives up 2 more earned runs today. That is 12 earned runs in 8 2/3 innings of work against the Jays this season.
1/3 of an inning, 2 earned runs, a walk and a hit. Leadoff walk by Bautista. Blue Jays figure out a way to bring him around.
Ryan Goins is called out on strikes, but the Blue Jays get a big insurance home run from Dan Johnson. His first of the season. Casey Jansen in, and Derek Jeter will start things off for the Yanks. This ball game on East Ontario and West, it'll be Scouts Honor, the Mel Didier story. Make sure you check that out. Great story about a great baseball man. And then later on Pacific, more baseball. The Orioles and Mariners. The Orioles really playing well on that West Coast trip. They'll be on Pacific right after this ball game. Dan Johnson, big swing of the bat here this afternoon. His first home run in the big leagues this season came in a 9th inning, a 3-run shot to give the Blue Jays some breathing room.
Now they'll turn it over to their closer, Casey Jansen. There are his numbers. He saved his 15th game 3 days ago against the Boston Red Sox. Jansen loves these situations right here, finishing out, and he hasn't had too many chances lately standing on that mound in this ballpark.
Derek Jeter leading off for a 5th time, goes after the first pitch. It's a 1-hopper to Goins. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 9th. Brett Gardner, a rough day, 0 for 5, and Jeter led off 4 times this afternoon. Tough outing for Gardner. Dan Johnson had 17 home runs in Buffalo, but the big one here this afternoon. Jacoby Ellsbury has taken the collar so far, 0 for 4. Drew Hutchison in line for the win. John Gibbons will be happy when they get the final out of this ball game, so he doesn't have to talk about the losing streak at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, he is asked that every single day that they have come here.
This is going to drop in front of Anthony Ghosh. Ellsbury aboard with a 1-out single. His first hit of the afternoon. 7th hit for the Yankees. We mentioned Drew Hutchison in line for the win. Today was his 8th road start this season, while allowing 2 runs or fewer. Only Garrett Richards of the Angels and Corey Kluber of the Indians have more. They each have 9. So Hutch has really mastered pitching on the road.
And in line for his first win since that gem he pitched against Milwaukee on July the 1st. 10 strikeout game in 7 innings against the Brewers.
That'll snap a streak of 3 straight losses and will improve his record to 7-9. This is a high drive to right. This ball is gone. Carlos Beltran with his 2nd home run of the series has made it interesting. Beltran has been on base 4 times. He was hit by a pitch, walked, singled, and now homered.
Jansen's going to challenge you. Casey throws a fastball uncharacteristically up in the strike zone. Looked like he was trying to cut that ball outside. It came back up and over the middle of the plate.
There's a line shot right to Tollison. Brian McCann is retired, 2 down.
But he's got a 4-run lead. He's going to challenge. Okay, if you hit it out, you hit it out. But I'm not walking it.
Beltran with his 12th home run. RBIs 33 and 34. 2 down now. Chase Headley, 3rd baseman. Blue Jays play the shift against Headley, but they use Reyes to discourage him to bunt. He bunted in the 4th inning. You see Reyes on the edge of the grass near 3rd. This is popped up. Reyes backpedaling, and that's the ball game. The Blue Jays have snapped their 17-game losing streak here at Yankee Stadium. Dan Johnson with a big swing of the bat provided the insurance in the top of the 9th.
Drew Hutchison got them to where they are now pitching into the 7th inning, giving up just 2 runs. He'll get credit with the win, and the offense comes through late with the home run by Dan Johnson. And the Blue Jays are not going to listen to New York, New York for the first time in 18 games walking off this field.
And that's a good thing. Tomorrow it'll be Jay Happ against Shane Green in the series finale. Blue Jays win at 6.